In today's video, I'm going to talk about a gold and silver buying tip that's going to help you with your gold-silver ratio. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you blast that subscribe button and get the bell notification click. That way you get updated with any new content. Today I wanted to talk about the gold-silver ratio, and this is something I get questioned about a lot, both on YouTube, Instagram, and on TikTok. A lot of people that are new to stacking both silver and gold, they don't necessarily know what they should buy. Should they buy silver? Should they buy gold? How much? And one thing that the silver and gold stacking community gauges their purchases on is the gold-silver ratio. And the gold-silver ratio is essentially how many ounces of silver equates to 1 ounce of gold. So right now, at the time of this video, we are sitting at a gold-silver ratio of 87-1, which means that every 87 ounces of silver monetarily is going to equal 1 ounce of gold as it relates to the spot price. So when it comes to the gold-silver ratio, what a lot of stackers will do, and I don't do this, but I'm going to explain why, but a lot of stackers, what they do is they decide whether or not it's a good time to buy silver or gold, and they essentially play the gold-silver ratio to determine when they should get out of one metal for another. For example, just about a year or two ago, the gold-silver ratio was sitting at around 120 or 124 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. So what that means is essentially that silver was a very good metal to buy at that time, essentially saying that for every 1 ounce of gold you buy, you could buy essentially 124 ounces of silver. And so right now, being that that margin has shrunk a bit, that ratio has shrunk, what this is telling you is that 87 ounces of silver equates to 1 ounce of gold. And some people, and a lot of people actually in the stacking community, still think that that is a really good number for silver, that you should be buying silver still. And I've seen a number kicked around that 60-1 seems to be a good ratio, at which point you would get out of silver, essentially liquidate that 60 ounces of silver, and with the proceeds from that go buy 1 ounce of gold. Some people say that their local coin shops will actually trade straight up gold to silver based on the ratio. But here's the thing with the gold-silver ratio. The gold and silver ratio, while it's a good metric for some people to decide whether or not they want to buy silver and gold, for me it's something that I do not use. I don't use the gold-silver ratio to determine whether or not I'm going to buy one over the other. Essentially, I just buy the metal that I want to buy at that given time. It has no bearing on whether or not the ratio is 30-1, 100-1, 1,000-1. I mean, I do not really buy silver and gold based on the gold-silver ratio. What I do make my purchases on are the collectability of the silver item and the collectability of the gold, but essentially I am really stacking gold mainly in part due to the fact that silver is a very cumbersome metal. And those of you who are newer to stacking and are really excited, I've had a lot of people recently send me emails telling me that they have 300 ounces of silver, they've only been stacking a year, or they have 200 ounces of silver. I realized just how cumbersome silver was when I made a full stack video about, I would say 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. I had reached over 1,000 ounces of silver, and when I was getting everything together to make this full stack video, it was very cumbersome. I had to make several trips. It was quite heavy, and it was a pain in the neck to carry. So that is why I actually have my ratio currently sitting at 8 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. That is my gold-silver ratio. For every 8 ounces of silver, I own 1 ounce of gold. For those of you that watch this channel, you know how much gold I currently have because I just reached a milestone with my stack. But I essentially have 8 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold. And to be 100% upfront and honest with you guys, I think that that gold-silver ratio, that personal gold-silver ratio, is going to continue to shrink, in that I probably will then get to 7 ounces of silver for every 1 ounce of gold, and possibly even 6 ounces of silver to every 1 ounce of gold. And why is that? Again, it comes to the fact that silver is very cumbersome. It takes up a lot of space. You can pack a lot of wealth in a 1 ounce gold coin as opposed to 87 ounces of silver. I just find it to be a lot more practical, and I also think that gold really is the more beautiful metal, to be 100% honest with you. Now, when it comes to silver, okay, I am not including in my silver stack, in my gold silver ratio, I'm not including my inventory for my business, for EmpirePreciousMetals.com, for my auctions. That really is only my own personal stack, the 8-to-1. If I were to include all of the silver from my business, then that number would be much greater. I would have to probably put it at, oh man, I would probably put it at maybe like 30-to-1, maybe even more. But I'm talking about my own personal stack, and right now it's 8-to-1. And I'm curious as to what your gold silver ratio is. Definitely leave that down in the comments below. But when it comes to the gold silver ratio as it relates to selling, I've also never used the gold silver ratio to determine whether or not I'm going to sell one metal in favor of another. When it comes to precious metals, I buy what I want when I want, and the same thing goes with the sales of my silver and gold. I will sell what I want, when it makes most sense. If I need a lot more cash at a given moment, I'll sell more gold. If I'm really heavy in silver, I'll liquidate off some of that silver to kind of bring some of that bulk down. But I do not use the gold silver ratio to determine my sales as well. So gold silver ratio, I don't think it's a bad idea for you to pay attention to, for you to take a look at and just kind of gauge that number just to see where we are with silver and how it relates to gold. But do I think that you should use it as something as a metric to determine whether or not you should buy gold or silver, or whether or not you should sell your silver and gold? I don't. I think that you really shouldn't be comparing the two. It's kind of, in my opinion, kind of like apples to oranges. Now, do I think you should use the gold silver ratio when it comes to buying and selling precious metals? That really is entirely up to you. I don't use it. I have a bunch of friends in the stacking community who also do not use it, but I have seen a lot of people, when I've done videos on the gold silver ratio, I've had a lot of people make comments saying that they've actually used the gold silver ratio to trade out of silver for some gold and get free gold, and then they wait until that number rises again, and then they start buying silver again, rinse and repeat. But the problem with doing that is it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience. You don't know when it's going to favor one over the other if you're going by that mentality and that logic. So in my opinion, yeah, it's a cool number to kind of look at, but I don't think it really should dictate whether or not you are buying silver and gold. I think that you should buy what you can afford, and I think that you should buy a little of both. I think you should be diversified in both metals. Yeah, gold silver ratio, cool to look at, a fun metric, but I don't think it should be something that you use to gauge whether or not you're going to buy or sell one of the precious metals, silver or gold. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below. Do you agree, disagree? How much is your gold silver ratio? Do you use it often to determine whether or not you're going to buy gold and silver, or whether you're going to sell one and hold the other? Let us know in the comments down below.